Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Tarot by the Hour. The biggest question people worldwide have these days is who's going to be the next Pope? The funeral of Pope Francis happened just today, and he passed away on Easter Monday. Let me just check really quick if yeah, it's working. So on Easter Monday, he passed away. That was a week ago, almost. So today was the funeral, and in a few days, the conclave will get together to decide who the next pope is going to be. And I thought, I know I say I don't really do predictive readings with the tarot, and I have to preface all of this today is for entertainment purposes only, because your guess is as good as mine when it comes to who's going to be the next pope. And I, for the past week, ever since the passing was announced, I've been looking at a lot of videos on YouTube where they talked about who could the next pope be. And I think there's a list of about maybe 20 to 25 contenders at this point. And some are talked about more than others. And I narrowed it down to 10, like the top 10 that most people are talking about. And I just want to see if any of them could maybe become the next pope. So I've got tarot, and I'm going to work with my haunted house tarot because, yeah, this is what we're looking for, the next person who is going to be in charge of the Catholic Church. I also have some charms here, like I've got these, like Scrabble letters, so we can see if maybe we can pull a letter that can tell us something. I've got other charms, so we can see. I've got something set up here on my desk. So let's see. But first, I'm going to show you who the 10 candidates that I think could potentially be leading in the conclave could be. Overall, we have 138 cardinals that are eligible to vote. They have to be under the age of 80. So when they're 79, like one of the cardinals here on this list is, they can still be elected as soon as they had their 80th birthday. They cannot vote and they cannot be voted for anymore. And out of these 138 cardinals, 110 have been appointed by Francis, the last pope, during his time in office, so to speak. And that means 80% of the cardinals that are now going to the conclave have been appointed by him. So that could give us an indication of which way they might vote. In order to be elected, the person needs a 2/3 majority. So that would mean 92 or 93 votes altogether to be declared as the winner. And they vote 4 times a day, twice in the morning and twice in the afternoon/evening. And we all know how that goes. Black smoke means they haven't decided. White smoke means habemos papam, we have a new pope. So, yeah. And the conclave usually meets about 15 to 20 days after the death of a pope. So in our case, the conclave is going to start anywhere between May 6th and May 11th. That's when they're going to meet. And it's going to be held in the Sistine Chapel. And the conclave is going to be, like, everyone from the public is going to be excluded. It's only going to be the cardinals. They're not going to be allowed to have any phones on them, tablets, any, news from the outside world. They're supposed to be completely shielded, kind of like jury duty in a way. So they're not supposed to know what's going on outside. They're not supposed to be influenced during their voting time. Now, that doesn't mean that, Pope Francis, he has been sick for a while, so the writing was on the wall. And some of these cardinals might have already been campaigning in a way to, get better known and maybe get to be more favorable so that other people know what they're about. So there's ways of doing that. And I've also this week watched the movies Two Popes and Conclave. I have to say I like Conclave better. And I think it's also not too far from the truth, probably. Of course, I've never been there. I don't know. I'm not even a member of the Catholic Church. But what I will say is that the election process is not going to be like all these people in there sitting and praying and waiting for a sign from God and then choosing whoever God, tells them to elect. This is going to be very much political. This is like a geopolitical strategy move. And Carla is here. Hi, welcome to my new studio. And so politics does play a very big role in who gets to be elected. And in this whole thing, there's basically two sides now. So we have on one side, the people that, or the cardinals that are more modern, more in line with what Francis was doing. And we have the traditionals, the conservatives on the other side. Thank you. And see, as I'm talking about that, now the sun is coming in through the window. So we're getting a sign from above. Yeah, so the traditionals, conservatives on the other side. And yeah, it might be that they vote for someone who's like right in the middle, like a bridge builder. Some people say that they were very unhappy with the modern way that Francis took in his papacy. Other people say, oh, this was the right thing to do because the church needs to be modernized. So there's like hardliners on each side because Francis or Pope Francis was known to be very much amongst the people, talking to the people, mixing, mingling, and listening to them instead of simply preaching at them. He was known for, listening to their concerns and, appreciating the moments that he had with the people. He was also very much involved with the whole climate change debate, and he was also more inclusive, which also angered traditionalists because he said something along the lines of all religions lead to heaven, which if you're the head of one specific religion, to say that is kind of like, I don't know, because the Pope, he's the leader of one church. He's the leader of the Catholic Church, and he's also head of the state because we have to remember the Vatican is its own city. It's a sovereign country, not just a city, it's a country. And the Pope is head of the country, basically like the president. So he is head of the state. He is also the CEO of the company, if you will. So he's the one who calls the shots. And for him to kind of water down the brand by saying that, oh, like it doesn't matter what religion you belong to, you'll get to heaven either way. I can see why people like the shareholders or something might be angered by that. I don't know if I would want to have a CEO who says, well, it doesn't matter if you buy from us or from the competition, any product is good, doesn't matter. I'm not so sure. I think if you are elected to, be head of something, then be head of that thing. Like, do that job. Otherwise, I don't know. Okay, long story short, here are the 10 people that are, for me, the top 10 possible candidates. And they are from all over the world. And we're going to go through them one by one. So, and like I said, these are the ones that are talked about most on like the news and on YouTube, social media, some of them more than others. And 6 of these are more towards the modern side. 4 of these are more towards the traditional side. So let's start with him. He is one of the ones that is very much hyped. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, not quite sure how you pronounce it. He's from Italy, and he, under Pope Francis, has been the Secretary of State. So he's basically the Hillary of the Vatican at this point. And he's the one who knows everything. He knows where the skeletons are, in which closet, which skeleton hides, where the bodies are buried. He knows everything. So yeah, he's the Vatican insider. He's also, as the right-hand man of Pope Francis, a skilled diplomat. And he would be a safe choice because he already knows the job. So he knows what's expected of him. He knows, the typical daily routine that the Pope would have to undergo, all these things. So he is considered the safe choice. But, of course, there's always a but with all of these. He might be seen as, like old Vatican bureaucracy. He's not known for being very charismatic and charming, because he's basically an office guy. And so he might be seen as too political in this case. So not sure if he could be like mixing and mingling with the people and if he would be approachable. That's one of the concerns. Now, this one is very much hyped on social media. There's a lot of people that would like for him to become the next Pope. This is Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle from the Philippines. And he is on my list of top 10 people, the second oldest. He's 67 years old, so he still has a long way to go if he were elected, so to speak. And he is very popular. I've even seen videos on YouTube from like 6-7 years ago where they were already talking about him possibly becoming the next Pope. And I think he was also on the list of contenders last time around when Francis was elected. So he's not a new name. He's been on the list for a while. And the Catholic Church is growing very much in Asia and Africa now, which explains why we have someone from Asia and people from Africa on the list, because that might be where things are going. And yeah, he's very famous among the younger demographic when it comes to the church. Like they love him. He has a friendly image. He's a great communicator. But on the other side, some people might see him as too progressive and that he doesn't have enough power brokers in Rome. So he might be too focused on what he's doing in Asia so that he doesn't really have a good network in Rome. So in a way, even though he is near his 70s, he might be considered very young. Benedict was actually, like, out of the last 20 popes that were elected, he was the oldest. He was 78, so like 1 year before cutoff time. So with 67, that's still relatively young. Now, the next one, Cardinal Peter Turkson from Ghana. He is part of the people that want, like he represents African Catholicism. And he is very much involved in social justice and also climate change, environmentalism, very much aligned with what Francis was already doing. And he's seen as quite moderate and trying to balance traditional doctrine with modern issues. But his reputation, like he's not very much known for having management skills, which is something that's important because if you are the head of the church, you have to manage the entire country and the company and everyone there. And yeah, I forgot how many cardinals there are altogether, but there's so many people there, not just the cardinals, all the priests and nuns and everyone. Like it's a big job, and people think that he might not be up to the task when it comes to that. Some might worry that he is not tough enough for the politics of the church. So yeah, it would be a historic choice, but there could be some hidden resistance because, yeah, they don't think he's up for it. But I put him down on my list as a wild card. So he could be one of those people that is like, if they can't really decide, do they want to go modern or traditional? He could be one of those people. Like, for example, John Paul II, the one that was before Benedict. He was actually a candidate that was not on everyone's radar. He was the one, when they couldn't decide on who to vote for, who kind of last minute came in, and who then ended up being the compromise candidate. And I think Turkson could be one of those as well, like a compromise candidate. Next, we have Cardinal Besungo from the Congo. And he is a very strong advocate for peace, also very much involved with the environment and human rights. So he would be a good balance between traditional church doctrine and also very ongoing social issues. And among the African bishops, he's very respected. But internationally, he hasn't really made a name for himself. So he is still building his network. So some see him also as someone who's lacking the experience to be in such a position. Next, we have another one from Italy, and that is Cardinal Zupi. And people call him Francis 2.0 because, yeah, he's very much in line with what Pope Francis did, and focused on like the very similar ideals and things that Francis was also working on. He is a great communicator. He is very popular with the young people, and he also cares very much about immigration, peace, and social justice. But the conservatives see him as too liberal. So that could be a deal breaker for them if they're going more towards traditional stuff. So this could intensify the culture wars in the church that were already started by Francis with saying things like, it doesn't matter which religion you belong to, you get to heaven either way, kind of thing. And I'm just paraphrasing here. Next on the list, we have someone from Malta, and that is Cardinal Mario Grech, not sure how you pronounce that. So he is a key figure in the church's future consultations as the head of the Synod of Bishops. He is very much in support of the listening kind of church. So like Francis did when he was not just, standing there and preaching and then, like Benedict. Benedict was more preaching and then minding his own business, whereas Francis was out there among the people, and he is also very much among the people. He wants to hear what the people have to say. And let me just, it's getting dark now, turn on some more light. I got a remote now, so everything in here is so fancy now. Anyway, so yeah, he's very moderate, and he could also be a bridge builder. I also have him marked down, and these are my personal thoughts so far. as a wildcard bridge candidate who might be the safe choice in terms of, well, if we can't really decide either way, he's kind of like in the middle. So yeah, I like him and Turkson, I kind of see as like the wild card, kind of like John Paul II in a way, when it comes to the election. Next, we have, and now we're going into the traditional leaning ones, the conservatives. So we have Cardinal Sarah from Guinea, and he is very traditional, loved by the conservatives. He has a strong emphasis on prayer, discipline, and the traditional liturgy. So yeah, he's also very much represented, or he represents a global voice with a strong African foundation. So with the church being more up and coming in Africa, that could be something that speaks for him. He's also, like, among the traditionalists, he is basically what Tagle is for the modernizers. He's that for the traditionalists. So they love him. There's a lot of people that would like to see him. And on the other hand, he is seen as very polarizing because he did not really agree with Pope Francis on many things. So he is not in favor of modernizing things, and he really wants to go back to tradition and, you know, make the Catholic Church more Catholic again, I guess. Now, here we have someone from Hungary, Cardinal Peter Erdo, highly respected, highly respected canon lawyer. So he knows his Catholic Church, and he's very much in favor of that. Strong, orderly, good for stability. So he would be the stable candidate, conservative but not extreme. He's not a hardliner like Sarah is, or like the other two that I will talk about in a second. So he is, like, out of the traditionals on my list, I would give him a maybe, whereas the other ones, I think, maybe not. So the thing that's criticized about him is that he doesn't have media charisma because he's not really in front of the camera much. And since this is a very political thing, the entire vote, the job, everything, since he has close ties to Hungarian politics, that might be a bit controversial right now, especially when it comes to the whole human rights question and refugees and everything. There are some things that Hungary is being criticized for. So to have a Hungarian pope, like I said, I would put him down also as kind of like a question mark, maybe wild card, kind of, because the Hungary thing is potentially the thing that could make people not vote for him. Now we have someone from the United States, Cardinal Burke, and very popular with traditional Catholics, very outspoken defender of the traditional teachings of the church. So not in line with Francis very much. And he is seen as the return to the old school Catholic Church. Very polarizing. He has been very critical about Francis, outspoken about that. And he would likely cause a deep division in the church, because there are those people who want to bring the church into the modern times, and he's not having it. So he could be seen as too political, especially in the United States culture wars. And I think I would say that he's probably not going to get voted for because, as I said, this whole thing is very much a political vote. And given how USA is perceived by the rest of the world currently, with everything that's going on with the tariffs and all that stuff, the United States is not exactly the most popular country right now. So I don't think that choosing a pope from the United States who also wants to go very much against what Francis stood for, I don't think that he's going to get the vote. But that's my personal opinion. I don't know how the cardinals in the conclave see the whole thing. And then there's someone from the Netherlands, Cardinal Eijk, and also very orthodox, strong and moral theology. He is good he has the administrative office experience because he has been the Archbishop of Utrecht. And so he is seen as a clear doctrinal anchor. But he is very formal, also not the charismatic type. And some see his theological rigidity as out of touch. So they might say that he's old news. So now these are the candidates that I have identified as the top 10 based on what the news are saying, what YouTube is saying, and social media. So yeah. So let me know, is there anyone that you favor? Let me know in the comments or here in the live chat. Do you see a clear candidate on the horizon? So for me personally, out of this list, I would say from the modern faction that, so here's number 1, number 2, number 4, and number 5 on the first row. I would say yes, they are definitely strong contenders. And number 3, the one in the middle in the top row, and number 6, so the bottom left candidate, they are my wild cards. So they are the maybe, possibly bridge builder kind of candidates. And out of the other 4 in the bottom row, I would say the one in the middle gets a maybe from me. And the other 3, I would say probably not, because they're just too hard line traditional, even though there are people who want that. Don't get me wrong. There are people who are asking for the church to go back to the traditional values. If that were the case, then these would be strong contenders. But given like what Pope Francis has done in the past 12 years of his papacy and the strong desire for things to be modernized among, the people out there in the world, I kind of think it's possible that it might be leaning more towards modern. I could be wrong. Like if they really want someone traditional, I think Sarah might have actually some really good chances. So yeah. Now, of course, I got my tarot, and I'm just going to leave these pictures up here. And I was thinking about how I could possibly do that. So I was thinking, since we have 5 categories here in the tarot, that need some tea. Sip, sip, everyone. So that maybe the majors could be, okay, it's undecided. We can't really say. It could be either one. And that the swords and the wands would be more for the modern, and the cups and the pentacles more for return to traditional. And so I'm going to shuffle the deck. I'll pull one card, and then we'll see what the deck has to say about that. And I'm going to take the Hierophant card out for later. So I'm going to take that one out for now. So I'm going to shuffle the cards. And if you have a deck and you also want to do some reading with me on this, pull out a deck. Let's read some tarot together. Okay, so which way are we going? Modern or traditional? Okay. Now let's get one card. Oh, one fell out. And it is the Empress, so undecided. Undecided. On the other hand, the Empress, someone very nurturing. Let's see, who could that be? I guess the Empress might be leaning more towards either the Francis 2.0, which is the last one on the top row, or yeah, someone who was also very much among the people. It could be the one from the Philippines. Or possibly even the one from Malta, first one on the bottom row. So yeah, maybe these ones. Okay. So that is an indication. So not decided, but maybe towards like more with the people, the nurturing kind of aspect, instead of just being hidden behind a desk. Now let me switch something here really quick. Okay. So I have, what? Technology, people. Come on. Whoops. Camera suspended here. So let's remove that. Okay, as you can see, I have the names of all 4 people here on these Post-its. And what I thought that I could do with this is I'll put the Hierophant card back in the deck, and then I'm going to shuffle the deck, and then I'm just going to pull some cards for each and every one and see what comes up. And maybe one of them might get the Hierophant card, and maybe that could tell us something. So I'm going to put the Hierophant card somewhere in the middle. And we're going to do some shuffling. Ooh. Oops. Maybe I shouldn't do it too close to the Post-its. Okay, tarot. Please let me know your opinion of who you think could be the next pope out of these 10 candidates. Who has the best chances? Okay. So I'm just going to take the cards the way they are. So here we have the Emperor. So a strong leader. And something that is also interesting, something that I heard, there is, of course, also prophecy. Turkson, that might be a no. Probably not. Probably not. No. Might be in line with what the traditionalists want. Okay, so far none of them got the Emperor. So in terms of this prophecy that I heard, there's actually, I think, 2 different prophecies. There's one that's like 900 years old that talked about, like, the guy who made the prophecy laid out all the popes for the next 900 years, all the way up to Francis, saying that Francis would be the last one. And he described all of the candidates that were then elected with specific things, like if they would be born in an eclipse or something like that. Just had to sneeze, excuse me. And sometimes places where they were born were mentioned. And yeah, that one said that the next pope would be an imposter in a way. So a wolf in sheep's clothing, a false prophet. So someone who we now see as very likable and who could then be elected. And after the election, turns out he is a complete opposite and that he's actually not very good for the people. So, okay, now let's look at these cards here that we got. Okay, so we got, I'd say that's a good card. That's not so much a good card, not so much. I don't really see the Knight of Wands as too much of a positive card. Like he's one of those that's like, I call him the F-boy, so I don't know if he would do a very good job. Like he's not very consistent with stuff. Before, yeah, maybe not his time. But then again, how old is he? Yeah, 69. He still has time. Yeah, the Tower, I think that's a no. Sarah, well, holding the money together, I think for the traditionalists, that might be a good thing overall. I don't know. 10 of Pentacles, like I said, he is my wild card from the traditionalists. So maybe. That's the one from the United States. Maybe. And another 5, so probably not very much. So let's continue. Okay, so here what I find interesting is the door with the key. So here in this card, what I see is like that's like the old establishment, and then here's the new key to the doors. So I guess the Secretary of State, the Hillary, as I called him, might actually have some good chances here. King of Wands, very persuasive, but is that going to be enough? The High Priestess, maybe. Death, yeah, I think the Songo, yeah. Zupi is not really getting good cards here. On the Tower, we have to remember the conclave also goes in different rounds, like I said. And I think because statistically, given how many cardinals we have now, I think the most likely outcome would be an election result anywhere between day 3 and 7. So I don't think that in the first days, I mean, that would be very quick and they would have to really agree. But I think having a result in the first 8 rounds, I don't really think that's happening. So Sarah, once again, a good card for him. What is, yeah? Decisions, balancing act. Like I said, he could be the wild card. I'm not ruling him out. It's just the politics of Hungary that might be an issue here. Another king here, Burke. Yeah, well, sitting on the money, so maybe. Like in terms of, you know, the wealth of the church and all that, for the church, for the traditionalists, potentially. But then again, with the whole America thing in the world. So here we have the Moon card. A long way to go. So I'm kind of already ruling him out. Let's see where the Hierophant lands. So yeah, can he weather the storm? Do we have? No, not just one cards. So yeah, the light and the darkness moving forward, the whole progressive thing. Yeah, it might be too much for him to handle. Like I said, he's also one of the wild cards, potentially, maybe the compromising candidate. But since he doesn't have a lot of administrative expertise and experience, it could be too much for him. Yeah, he would have to be very strategic with everything. So he is the one from Congo. Good. He's actually the youngest candidate out of the top 10 that I have here. And here we have the star. So there's still hope. I think here's someone who would like to be Pope. Someone who's trying to manifest it. Yeah, the charisma is here. This is my Samantha from Sex and the City card, kind of. So yeah, I think he would also like to do the job. Someone moving forward. So he's getting all the good cards here. Yeah. The Three of Cups. Drowning in the pleasure. I don't know. And here, yeah. He's not really getting the good cards. I think Netherlands at this point probably out like after 3 rounds. So let's go round 4. Alliances might be shifting. Still like very much in line with making things happen. Wanting to bring in maybe some traditionalists, like someone they can't agree on. Here we have the Empress card that I pulled. So yeah, it's a, what did we have here? Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Who's that? Someone we had the youngest one. Very strong, maybe. The King of Cups. Maybe too emotional for all this. This is the Francis 2.0. So yeah, that doesn't really look good either. There might be some someone going the other way, not choosing him anymore. The Devil card. Ooh. This reminds me of the time in the movie Conclave when someone who has been a strong contender was then discovered for having some kind of scandal. I mean, there's always a bunch of scandals in the church. So here we have the Knight of Cups. And, oh, we have a victory card here. So, I mean, the way that they go about it is like, if they really can't choose anyone, some of the candidates might actually then rally for other ones. They say, okay, I don't really want to be Pope. Or if they don't get enough votes, they could say, okay, I have no way of winning this. Please take my votes and give them to someone else, like talking to the people and be like, yeah, if you voted for me, please, I support this or that candidate. You can give them my votes. So that's why things might be shifting at some point. Now let's see. Might be shifting away from him. He might be gaining some traction. The Hermit. Here we have, yeah, I think this one, at this point, with all the cards that are coming here, 5 of Swords, I think we can rule this one out. Yeah, he is loved. Here we have the 2 of Cups. He is loved among the traditionalists. I think it will be head-to-head kind of thing. So here we have the 4 of Wands, still in the running. We have the 6 of Swords. Not really sure where this is going with him. And the Queen of Pentacles. Probably like shifting his votes somewhere else. We're making new alliances. Still a favorite. And here he is. So let's see what the rest says. Maybe. That would be a no. Yeah, that one. Malta is out, I think. The Justice card. So he might still be a very strong contender in everything. As well as this one. Strength card. And the 2 of Wands. Wanting it, but not getting it. And yeah, so here we have the Hierophant. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. So the people that might get the most votes, I think, based on the cards here, would be Parolin, Tagle, the guy from the Philippines. Turkson is probably going to get some votes, but later on, not right away. And the thing is, we will not find out how they voted. He is pretty much out. He is getting good. He's also pretty good. Him, I think his alliance, he can be a kingmaker, possibly, and him I would take out. So these two, I would say no. And the thing is, the ones that are popular, like him, for example, getting a card like this, he could also use his influence to shift the votes and to give them someone else. So in terms of, if you've seen the movie Conclave, this could be Stanley Tucci, if you've seen the movie. He is the person who said, he really wanted to be Pope, and he was very much liked, but he didn't get the votes because Ralph Fiennes, he was getting votes. And so at some point he said, okay, everyone who supported me, please shift over to the other one. So he could be considered what's known as a kingmaker. So over that, I take him out as well. So that would leave these ones. And yeah, with this one, I kind of want to take him out as well. I think it's going to be between these four, based on the cards, what I see here. So I would probably put my chips anywhere between these. And yeah, since he got the Hierophant card here, this might be like a stalemate kind of situation where they can't figure out which one. And I mean, if you've seen the movie Conclave, what happened is that there were two rivals coming up in the vote. One was very strong and he got a lot of votes and he could have become the next one. And then, the other character played by Ralph Fiennes, whatever, he then gained traction as well. So those ones were head to head, and then something happened and someone else gave a very emotional speech in that movie. And that was a person that was on no one's radar. And then suddenly the person that hadn't been on anyone's radar because of that emotional speech got the votes and became the new Pope. So stuff can happen. Stuff can always happen. But for me, based on the cards that I got here, I think these four are my candidates. I'm thinking maybe one of these. So this is, one of these will get the key. Which one? I don't know. So what I can do, let me just take the cards away for now. I'm gonna leave this one here. So I've got these letters here, and let's see, where's my mouse? Just so that you can see that I'm not cheating. Oh, there I am. So I have the letters here. I'm going to put them on the table and I'm going to look away. And I'm trying to get a few letters and maybe we can get a letter with someone. Okay. Have them in my hand. Let's see what I got. So I got an I. One of these from Italy. Nope. I have a T, like Turkson. I have an R, Let's see. Ghana, Philippines, Guinea, and Hungary. So that's not it. Another I. And an L. So out of all the letters, only one. Well, Turkson and Tagle. So the letter T. So it might be between them. So maybe they are going into a more modern direction that was already started by Pope Francis. So that would narrow it down to these two, Turkson and Tagle. And oops, this one was the one that got the Hierophant card. So I guess I'm just going to let the tarot speak for itself in this regard. IRL, in real life. What does this, does that do anything? Tarot, little. Can't really make a word with that. But yeah, the letter T was here. So in terms of names, I have also thought about what kind of name. Woman, who are you talking to? No one here. That doesn't matter. In terms of names, I have been thinking about what the next pope could potentially call themselves. So I have some names picked out here for either the modern way or the traditional faction, or even for the bridge builder part. So in terms of a modern pope, and these are based on the popes with those names that have previously been in line with Francis, for example. So for the modern faction, something that might fit very well would be Francis II, because it's not uncommon to choose the same name right after another, because we had John Paul I and then we had John Paul II. So Francis II would not be totally unusual. Or John is also very popular among the modernizers. So that would be John the 24th, very popular name among popes. Or one that's also in line with the whole modernizing thing, Paul VII. Now, in terms of traditional pope names, based on the popes with these names, like the last ones with the number before, that were very much in line with traditional church values, that could be Pius the 13th or Benedict the 17th, going back to what Benedict already started, or Leo the 14th. So these could be possible names for that. And for the bridge builder pope, the names that I picked would be John Paul III, and Leo the 14th could also be in the category of the bridge builder, because he was very strong in terms of church values, but also of the gentle nature and trying to get the best of both worlds. Or Gregory the 17th. So these 8 names are on my list of possible pope names. So Francis II, John the 24th, Paul the 7th, Pius the 13th, Benedict the 17th, Leo the 14th, John Paul the 3rd, or Gregory the 17th. So that's what I think. So in terms of having either faction here, I think either of these names could be possible. So we'll see. And I guess, yeah, towards middle of May, I'm guessing we will probably know who the one is the next pope, and we will see that white smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel, and they will announce from the balcony, Habemus Papam, and then we will know if it's going to be someone from Italy, like the majority of popes in the last couple hundred years have been Italian popes. The last 3 have been different. We've had one from Germany. The last one was Latin American. And John Paul II was from Poland. Before that, we had a long line of Italian popes. So we will see. Like I said, Asia and Africa are up and coming in terms of Catholicism. So that could be an indicator. It could also be someone from Europe again. We'll see. We'll just have to wait a while and then we'll know. So let me know in the comments if you ask the tarot, like who would the tarot pick? Or do you have a favorite? Like which one would you like to see as the next pope? If you would have to guess, would you choose one of these 10 candidates? Do you have a very different candidate? Let me know. And otherwise, I hope you are all having a good weekend and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.